bring it if it was an all-star or if it was a first team, second team, third team type player. But if it wasn't, then I wouldn't bring it. I'd be taking the nights off. So every night I got to bring it. To me, I got a defensive rebound better. And one thing that I talked about, he didn't really care about so much. I feel like I need to up my steals, the amount of steals, the off-ball steals that I get.
So let's take a look at the year-by-year improvement for Aaron Gordon, going from 5 to 9 to 13 to 17 last year with the scoring. The three-point shooting still a work in progress, but he got in the 30s last year at 33.6%. So what is next, GA and Kevin, for Aaron Gordon?
I think what Kevin talked about, he almost doubled his three-point attempts. Which, you want your best player to be able to shoot the three, but I think he can be so dynamic and put so much pressure on the defense if he attacks more. I'd like to see him play more like Giannis in terms of trying to put pressure on the defense, getting to the rim, getting your team in the penalty. I think he's got that ability. I felt, even though he improved the jump shot, I felt he fell in love with his jump shot a year ago. And if you're going to be the face of a franchise, to Kevin's point, you've got to be consistent at every facet. Yeah. Your team has to know what they can rely upon when you take the floor. Your jump shot can't dictate your impact on the game. And I thought you saw also his rebounding improve, over a couple assists a game. So he's trending in the right direction. I think he's got a chance to be an all-star in this league, and this will be a big year for him in terms of taking that next step.
Yeah, then you got to get a spot on the floor where the coach feels comfortable giving you balls to close out game. Is it the elbow? Is it right elbow, right box, left box? Where is it? So you got to define your game a little bit tighter when you're the face of the franchise, so the coach can come out and design something for you. And so I just think he's just got to get better. I mean, he's a young guy, he's improving, steady, but he's got to find his spots on the floor where he's really effective. When I say spots on the floor, that's I throw you the ball at a spot on the floor, and the opposing coach says, oh no, he's going to get a really good shot unless I bring help. This guy's really good from the right elbow, left, wherever it is. And that forces the defense to, to make compensations and run people at you. That's his next level, becoming a great player on a playoff team.
And GA, to your point, 2 threes made last year on 5.9 attempts. That is a high volume for a guy who's slated to play power forward. But in 2 seasons as the Orlando head coach, Frank Vogel posted a 54-110 record. He was replaced by that man, Steve Clifford, who spent the past 5 seasons in Charlotte. It's a return engagement of sorts for Cliff, who served as an assistant under Stan Van Gundy in Orlando from 2007 to 2012, including their trip to the NBA Finals. Is Cliff the right coach to turn Orlando's fortunes around?
I like the hire in part because I think he's going to help them improve defensively, which oftentimes with a really young team is the hardest thing for them to commit to. Young man, we didn't talk about Jonathan Isaacs, who's also, I thought, showed some flashes this summer. Didn't really have an impact the season ago, but I think he's ready to kind of help solidify that front line as well. They're going to have their struggles, but I do think they're going to be an improved basketball team. And listen, I think Clifford inherited a similar situation in Charlotte. Young team, unproven, got them in the postseason. I think you could see this team starting to trend in that direction this season.
Yeah, I like the fact that their best player, Gordon, came out and said the coach challenged me to play hard all the time. I mean, that's the first thing you got to do. I mean, I hate like heck to hear a player say that coach had to challenge me to play hard all the time. But it's also Clifford is addressing things head on, where it's like, hey, you got to play harder. You got to do this. You got to do that. I think he's going to be straightforward with the guys, get them to play hard every single night, get them to go out there and get after it. Offensively, sometimes with Steve, I watch his teams play, and I'm like, a little bit more creativity, maybe a little bit more push, a little bit more pace in the game, but I like him as a coach.
So we'll see how that works out. Congratulations to Coach Cliff on a nice soft landing in Orlando. And we are just getting started on the Orlando Magic preview show. Coming up, we will break down the rest of the roster, including sharpshooting wingman Evan Fournier. Young man, as you will find out now, because Ro Parrish caught up with Mo at Orlando's Media Day and asked him about joining a franchise with a history of famous big men.
If you look at the track record of our organization, you got Dwight and you got Shaq, obviously. And if my career can go anything as well as theirs, then I'd be doing something pretty special.
So speaking of special, we know draft night was special for you. You've been able to be drafted into the NBA. You've got settled in Orlando. Now tell me how that whole process has been, and are you comfortable so far now that you're in a new city?
Oh, absolutely. I've just kind of gained my grounds with the city and just kind of, figured out where things were. And getting settled was actually pretty easy.
Orlando hasn't made the playoffs in the last 6 seasons. What is it going to take for you guys to make that leap and get into the postseason?
It's going to take a level of togetherness. I haven't played an NBA game yet, but I know whenever a unit is all synced in mentally, it goes a long ways.
So let's talk about wingspans for a second. We know that when you extend your arms, it's probably about 9 feet. We know the situation right now. You have Jonathan Isaacs down there with you. His wingspan is 7'10". So is it safe to say that you two have rim protection on lock in Orlando?
I mean, we have the tools to be great rim protectors. It's just a matter of getting out there and doing it.
So since Summer League, what are some of the things that you've worked on individually to improve your game going into your first season?
Oh, I've gotten a ton of reps up in my jump shot, and one of the things that I did to play in the NBA was improve the pace of my jump shot and my mechanics. Because a lot of it in pre-draft was just working on mechanics and just mastering, what the perfect form for me looks like. And now it's just a matter of, making it game speed so I can get my shot off over and in front of anyone.
So how comfortable are you with Coach Clifford's system, and how much have you been able to get acclimated before training camp starts?
Oh, we've had these optional workouts all September long, and everyone's been in. And apparently that's a rarity in the NBA. But everyone's been in, everyone's been at it, and it's just so we can gain our grounds before training camp even starts. We kind of hit the ground running.
So now you're going to be a teammate of a movie star in Aaron Gordon. We saw him this summer make his film debut. How has it been like working with him?
Oh, it's been awesome. Aaron is a very supportive guy, but he gets at it, and you kind of develop that same attitude from him, whether if it's in a weight room, whether if it's on a court, or wherever.
So in order to win the Rookie of the Year, I need you to finish this sentence. Mo Bamba needs to do what to win Rookie of the Year?
Have impact. If you look back at all of the guys who were Rookie of the Years, they had immediate impact in the league.
And time will tell about Mo Bamba. Here is a look at our projected depth chart for the Magic. They added point guard Jaren Grant in a 3-team trade during the offseason. Jonathan Simmons and Terrence Ross give Steve Clifford 2 explosive guards to rotate. And forward Jonathan Isaac, and I say forward because is he a 4, is he a 3? We'll find out. But he enters his second season after being drafted 6th overall back in 2017. Rick Kamla, Greg Anthony, and Kevin McHale. And Mac, in our previous segment, you talked about the importance of Aaron Gordon finding his sweet spots on the floor and what Steve Clifford can do as the head coach to help him find those. Well, you're a coach, you're a GM, you're a Hall of Famer. Let's tap into your brain. Where do you think could and should be his sweet spots on the floor?
He's a combo guy to me. He's a combo 3-4. So he's going to play against smaller guys. He's going to play against bigger guys. But everything works in the same areas. He should be a guy that I'm not sure, like I said, you got to work with him. Is it right elbow? Is it left elbow? But he's got to be a guy that can get the ball one dribble away from his sweet spot, one dribble away from getting a great shot. I don't like him out at the 3-point line or where you're in 2 and 3 dribbles away. It's got to be like if Greg's guarding me and we run a little high post stuff here, I got to be able to get the ball, rip hard, get that ball out in front of me hard, end up in here, and then going up for a shot, one dribble away, finishing at the rim. And in here, I like to see him be a one dribble attack guy. Because against smaller guys, you one dribble attack, they move their feet, you shoot over the top of them, you're bigger. The bigger, slower guys, one dribble attack, spin, get to the rim, try to get fouled. And so his working area, I would like to see the one dribble out. So he's always catching the ball 12, 14 feet from the basket.
Well, one thing I would say, a couple things. One, I look at him and I said, listen, with your athletic ability and your skill set, you've got to get 6 to 8 free throws a game. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing he's got to do. Secondly, he's got to understand what a good shot is for him. And a lot of times with young players, and Kevin knows this, like you're always trying to prove what you can do. And you end up doing a lot of things you don't do well.
Yeah.
And we've seen that even with him thus far. So to Kevin's point, find out where your sweet spots are. Find out where your areas are where you know you can make the play that needs to be made. But I think if he focuses on those areas, I would like to see his three-point shooting come down. 6 threes a game from him, I think is a lot. If he's around 4 and his free throws go up 4, now I think he's going to have a bigger impact. His team's going to be better as well. Why? Because those extra threes, when you're not making them, those are runouts. All right? When you get those extra free throws, we get to set our defense. Right? Like, those are important elements to his development as a player. Understanding if he's going to be their leading scorer, his shot selection is going to be critical. It's going to be really important, and his ability to get to the stripe and help get his team in the penalty. So those are things, if I'm Steve Clifford and that coaching staff, when we went and watched and broke down film, I bet you 30% of his shots were shots he probably shouldn't have taken. And so he's got to learn that aspect in terms of growing.
And when you're in the penalty, the easiest way to get to the line is hard driving, because can't put a hand on anybody anymore. So you get the ball up here in these areas, and you reverse pivot, and I come at you hard. You can get to the line in the penalty without ever shooting the ball. This is, you go by me, I hand check you, it's 2 free throws. He's got to get a lot more of that. So he's got to get those points that come easier for him. Everything can't be a struggle for the young fella.
Mo Bamba, 6'10" wingspan. We know what that's going to do for rim. 7'10" wingspan.
Yeah.
Pardon me. We know what that's going to do for rim protection. But what other areas of his game can that help?
Well, it helps in his ability to switch out on perimeter players. One thing that amazed me about this guy, he will block three-point shots. We've seen it with Clint Capella.
Yeah.
He is difficult for good guards to get by because of his length and lateral quickness. And as he gets stronger and more comfortable, he's going to be a real terror out on that perimeter, and it's going to create a lot of options for Steve Clifford and that coaching staff defensively.
As a long arm guy myself, helps right here. When I get that ball here and I go up and you're shooting over the top of people, you extend, it's hard to get up and challenge it. So what you do, once you get comfortable, he was talking about getting the speed of his shot and all that stuff, but once you get comfortable, you understand that when you extend and get up here, you got a clean look. The guy's not going to block it. So there's a comfort level in having long arms and being able to have that ball at a high release point.
I know a lot of people, what was your wingspan, or what is your wingspan?
I'm like 7'5", 7'6".
Nice.
Yeah.
Are you saying bring it on, Mo Bamba?
Yeah, where
Is
you
that
at,
what you're
Mo
saying?
Bamba? Down to